Good morning, everybody. It is the 11th of February. Thought I'd do a quick update on what's going on around the garden. Let's have a quick look and see what's going on in terms of growing and then in terms of a couple of projects coming up. Our strawberries didn't really do too well this summer. They have done a lot of growing in terms of runners going everywhere, as you can see. So we've just got heaps of strawberry runners going about the place. Not too much fruit came up. It did get, 3 or 4 sets came up, but they got eaten by birds before they even really ripened, which was interesting. So what I'm going to do with these runners that are out here is actually, once we get a little bit closer to the end of the strawberry season, as you can see there's heaps of them over here, is I'm going to move them across and actually put them in this area over here. So I'm going to clear all this bed out, clear out this, I forgot what this is. This is a type of like a tall grass at the back there. Get rid of the pots. I've forgotten what the plant is. That can stay there, I don't mind that. But this whole area here, it'll be really easy to net this up next summer. So that'll be what happens with these strawberries. Just to the side of the strawberries is the orange, which has still got those mites that I've shown in previous videos, but it is actually growing out quite nicely. As you can see, some new leaves have come up. Not too much fruit has been happening, but I believe fruit for oranges actually comes up more towards winter, I believe. So, and I might have to move this at some point. But this has been doing well, given the harsh life that it's had. May have seen some of the previous banana updates, and this has been awesome. I've been so happy with this. Basically every week and a half a new leaf will come out. They basically come out of this central area here and then just sort of unfurl out. I'm not expecting to actually get any bananas in this particular season, but maybe next season I might be able to grow it out a bit bigger. But it's been really cool. It's like a nice little different addition to the garden to have a very tropical looking plant in the middle of this kind of location where it's normally quite cold. As in many cases across the gardening world at the moment, tomatoes have not been doing too well. Mine in particular definitely haven't. They're very small. Like, we're nearly at the end of the summer. I'd expecting them to be like 6-7 foot tall by now. Yes, they're in pots, so they do grow a little bit slower, but the rate at which they were growing was so crazy, and so I kind of tapped out, gave up on the tomatoes for the most part. As you can see, I haven't really staked them up properly or anything like that. Moved them over here just because they were a little bit in the way up on the deck. But yeah, we've got a couple of tomatoes that are fruiting through. There might be 1 or 2 that ripen up in time, but we'll see what happens. But yeah, hopefully next season, and we'll see in a little bit, I'll have some better tomato results, and especially if the weather just improves a bit, because I think that's been half the problem. Just behind the tomatoes is the 5 pots. You can sort of see 2 just to the left there, and then a couple through this side here. This is all the saffron. So I got some more saffron crocus and planted a few more, so hopefully this upcoming saffron season, when they actually flower up in approximately April, I'll actually have a few more saffron strands that I can dry up and utilize in some cooking. This is the Peruvian lily, which has been absolutely fantastic the whole summer. I'm really glad this sort of livened up and brought a little bit of colour to this side of the garden. I'll just be keeping this. Like, it'll die back in winter and probably just completely disappear and then slowly come back in the summer. But very beautiful flowers in this one. Been really happy with it. This is the last little section in the native courtyard area, as I'd like to call it. This is my lemon, which has extremely sweet lemon fruit. It's probably the only thing that has been fruiting quite prolifically. But it's been growing out some new branches and new leaves and all this kind of stuff, so that's been great, and we'll see how it goes through the rest of the year. The other part in the corner here is just some leftovers, basically. So there was a cucumber, I think it was 1 or 2 cucumbers. As you can see, that guy's growing up the side there and growing quite nicely. In fact, even there's a small fruit off to the side. And then probably the only tomatoes that are actually doing well are these little extras that I threw in this bed here. So not sure if it's because they're in a bed or the position or anything to do with that, but they've been doing quite nicely compared to all of those other tomatoes off in the pots. So the main section here, which we've seen in the past, actually had a shade across the top of these. So I pulled that out after they got to a nice state of like no longer being seedlings, no longer being like completely open to sun damage, and everything's done quite well. Basil's doing really, really nicely here, as you can see. These are the just standard sort of green beans. Been using these in some recipes, and they've been great. So I've got probably 1 or 2 more rounds of those green beans to use, and I'm going to make some pesto with all the basil. We'll get that going really soon. I've had heaps and heaps of cucumbers. As you can see, there's actually some which are just popping up now as well. There's so many. In fact, there's a couple more. So we've got cucumbers all over the place, which has been great because we love them. The dogs love them as well. So that's been really nice to have. As you can see, snapdragons doing really, really nicely here as well. Beautiful red color on this one, a deep pink on this one, yellow, and a lighter pink on that one that blew over the other day. Sorrel's been a nice addition to our salads. So we have like various cos lettuce and some other random lettuces, some icebergs and other sorts of lettuce over here as well. But the sorrel's added like a nice bitter kind of note to any of those salads that we've been doing. So that's been really cool. And now here at the end, going a bit wild, is the pumpkin, which I've been quite happy with it, apart from the fact that there's just so few pumpkins. And there's a little one. So this is a type of like a baby pumpkin. I think it's called Baby Jack or something like that. But yeah, hasn't really been fruiting. Put out a couple of those little babies, but not really actually getting any sizable, like even fully ripening. So that's been a bit unfortunate. And as you can see, the leaves are starting to die off a bit, also getting a bit of sun damage here. So, you know, the shade was good because it did block out some of that more extreme heat that we have occasionally been getting. But yeah, the plants have had a little bit of a struggle with that. Mostly this pumpkin. Like, none of the other plants are actually yellowing out or anything like that. So I'm not sure if there's something else I've been missing here in the garden. But here is our, this is kind of the cucumber patch. As you can see, we've got cucumbers galore. This is the sort of more spiky version. Not actually sure what this one is called, but yeah, we've got a heap of them. You do have to scrape the spikes off, as opposed to the other one, which I'll show you in a second. And then we have some icebergs. Capsicums are actually finally coming up, which is great. And then these beautiful red cos lettuce over here. I just love the color on these. So that's been really, really nice. And we've been picking up all these cos lettuces here, just cut and come again kind of style. And look at that one, absolutely beautiful. Herb garden's been going quite nicely. It's not going gangbusters or anything like that, but they have been doing relatively well. Sorry, it's a bit windy, that might jump on the microphone there, but chamomile here, all alongside the bay tree as well. Pineapple sage, which has been fantastic in some of our dishes. I've really started using that quite a lot. And then the odd basil, cos lettuce, of course, which I've just thrown around, some parsley at the back. Catnip here is flowering. I was kind of hoping that this would grow a little bit more prolifically, but that's okay. It is what it is. Chives up the back. But yeah, this has been like a nice experiment to see if some of these herbs will come up quite nicely. For the most part, they have. I am expecting them all to die off soon as we get to the colder months. Then we have the best, well, sort of best performing part of the garden, where we had our corn and our zucchinis. I've had mountains of zucchinis, probably about 20, maybe 30 zucchinis, and there's actually 1 or 2 left. But they are done. As you can see, the plant itself is pretty much finished off as the powdery mildew takes over. Not too much fruit actually coming in on them anymore. As for the corn, this is the Oaxacan green corn. I might be able to show you just a little example. So you can see there, it's got like a slight tinge of green to it, like a darky jewel kind of green. But yeah, the corn hasn't really done too much. I'm not sure whether it was a weather or just, so these were seedlings from the old house, and so I had to move them, so I'm not sure if that's impacted them. But they did go a little bit wild in some circumstances because the some of the ears, so these with their silks, so they actually, some of the ears actually sprouted the tassels out of the ears. So I'm not exactly sure what happened with that, but that's not normal as far as I'm aware. And then we had our sunflowers that were posted around. They've done quite nicely, just finishing up. These are self seeds that I brought from the old sunflowers, and that's pretty much it for what was in this garden. Let's have a look at some of the projects. So a couple of things that we've got going on. The chicken coop will have to be, this is an old chook house. This was here when we moved in. We're going to get rid of this, make it a little bit more space here. The shed across to the side, I'm working on or planning out converting this into more of a greenhouse, sort of like a combo greenhouse and shed. We'll obviously have to remove this clothesline, which we don't really use. And then one of the main projects that's going on, which I'm about to get cracking on, is cleaning up the weeds. So this was a very dusty, dirty, sort of barren area before, but the weeds have come in, they've taken over. Some of these are a type of weed that looks to help with nitrogen in the soil, which is great, but we don't want weeds. What we're going to do is clean out a lot of this, put some topsoil on, and then actually put down some proper grass slabs, which will probably take a little bit of time, a bit of money, but it'll hopefully make it look quite nice. So that's a plan for this area. And the deck that was out here at the back, I've removed part of this, so we're just working on getting rid of these footers that are in concrete, which takes a little bit of time to get that out. And then I'll have this as a bed. So this will be a ground level bed for things like carrots or maybe garlic or something like that. So we'll get some soil in to fill this in and just build up the sides. Meanwhile, this other section of the deck, going to remove this and actually turn the side that's against the fence. That'll be a bed in of itself, so that'll get a lot of winter sun as well. Obviously I'm going to have to remove this apple tree and the orange and the lemon down at the end, clean up that eucalyptus which is randomly sprouted over there as well. But this will all be sort of a bedded area as well to put some more vegetables in, and probably have a compost down the back. So that's the plan for the garden. A couple of projects that are coming up. I'll probably do another update more towards April or so as we move into autumn and some different things are sprouting. Maybe we'll have some updates on where we're at with some of these projects as well. Thanks for watching.